This is a Channel Africa podcast. You can also get Channel Africa on satellite, PAS10, DSTV Audio Bouquet 802, and OpenView Bouquet, Channel 628.
Curating an online dating profile can be some sort of an art for many, right? It feels like creating a sim for yourself for that online dating world. You choose the best pictures of yourself that you have in your own reel, the ones that you feel you look the most attractive in, maybe sometimes the ones that you feel you look the most mysterious in for others. You list your hobbies, whether or not you want kids or have any, whether you drink or smoke, and other personal details of yourself so that you can be scrutinized by a pool of potential partners, lovers, hookups or friends. But once the chat starts and turns into swiping left or right, it might take some time to get to know someone before you go into face-to-face interactions. And that's where sometimes the problem can start. We're speaking about online dating in this hour of the show and whether or not we're giving too much of ourselves away to form connections on online dating platforms. Ernest Toho is a seasoned dating coach and founder of Justified Connect Singles World, which offers matchmaking services and an online discussion forum, who's joining us on the line to chat about this spectrum of online dating this morning. Ernest, good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Morning, guys. Good morning. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll also be chatting to Sophie a little bit later on, a lady by the name of Sophie, that's her pseudonym, who's going to be speaking to us about her own online dating experiences as we delve deeper into whether or not we might be giving too much of ourselves to form connections on online dating. We're not going to start with you, Sophie, but I just want to say good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Hey, Sophie. Hello.
We're doing good.
Thanks
We're
for
doing
joining
good.
us.
Ernest, let's come to you. Well, Ernest, it's evident that a lot of people are starting to prefer online dating as a form to find a potential partner, sometimes even friend or even a casual connection. But it seems like a lot of us are more increasingly afraid of meeting people in real life. I think also this was exacerbated a lot by the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, where there was no options to meet people, and also has created a little bit of like internal traumas when it comes to being outside. So a lot of people are introverts and prefer sort of meeting people online. What do you think are some of the other reasons that attribute to the rise of online dating?
Thank you very much for inviting me to your show. Pleasure is all mine. Now, there's a bigger conversation when it comes to online dating. They say insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting a different outcome. What we see in the dating landscape right now is it's really horrible. The traditional way of meeting people has become quite elusive because life is so fast. People go to work. People are scared of other people. There's so much animosity. People are angry, and then there's just a proliferation of, a woman walks into the mall, like 15 guys want her number.
Yeah.
She's shut down. She's not going to even talk to even the potential out there because she's overwhelmed. Now, it begs to I have no problem with online dating. It's the way forward. That's the future. It's now already and the future. Because just like everything online, it just brings the whole network to you, expands your horizon, you're able to connect with more people. The problem is not online dating. The problem is the platforms that deliver these services. It is flawed. Absolutely flawed.
Well, why do you say it's flawed? That's a very interesting way of saying that, because you actually gave it a lot of validity. You were highlighting the fact that, we can't meet the same ways that we traditionally could, but these online spaces have created a place where we can converge online. But you're saying it's flawed. Why, Ernest?
It's flawed because when you check at the moment, this generation of dating apps all originate from America, mostly American companies.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked to find that the likes of Tinder and Hinge are owned by one company, an American company, and they've been taking them to court back and forth because of how flawed the model is. So what happens is the system is based on quantity and not quality, which makes it difficult to achieve success. And what we see, I always like to say, just as Vusi Temba Kwai would say, I want to use his style. I've spent a combined 24 years on dating apps. That means 6 years across each of those platforms. And I see exactly what goes on there. They are not designed to actually attain success. They are designed to make money.
Okay.
And what they do is to build the algorithm in such a way that the algorithm fails to capture the complexity of human relations. And this algorithm often prioritize quantity over quality, leading to mismatches when users may not find partners aligned with their desires.
Yeah. You know, Ernest, that's fair, I think, because at the end of the day, online dating platforms are businesses nonetheless. But you know what? As humans, we yearn for connection. We yearn for that love. And because we do see some success stories, we have hope that my success story might just be as the one that I've also witnessed or heard about. So let's get into the intricacies of actually the dating itself, right? Outside of the apps. When you go on there, you put up your profile and you put up words and parts of yourself that you think might attract what you're looking for. And then you start swiping, which is quite exciting, right? Because it's a big confidence booster when you keep swiping yes or right on people and they've matched you. So you're seeing a pool of people that are interested in you. That makes you feel good. It makes you feel all warm inside. But then the conversation starts. Let's go there because, I think the basis of this conversation is if we're giving too much of ourselves to form these connections. What are some of the dynamics in the initial conversations once you've made matches online?
First of all, the way the platforms are designed, they're designed that way for a reason. There's one word that keeps coming up, which you described, but not the house word, the holding word. It's called dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in the brain. Long story short, it's a trigger. Going back to the design, I'll come back to the question you asked, but going back to the design, giving someone who naturally is an introvert, sits in a corner, doesn't talk, doesn't mix, socially, inept, and giving the person power to just look at people and go, you left, go this side. Don't like the way you look, go that side. There's so much power that is given to people. So you will find that people just sit there for different reasons. And mind you, people are looking for different things on these platforms. And that's where the lies come in. So even the information that you see on their profiles are lies. Much of it is misleading, either inadequate, and in other cases just outright misleading. So one may put oneself out there by way of writing a bio and all that, and then you form connection. There's a match. The system allows there's a match, and then you start talking. Yeah. The major problem I have found being on those platforms is from the get-go, these two people were not meant to be having a conversation in the first place. For instance, the guy, is young, doesn't have a child. The lady's done with kids. And then you're asking me, so where do you live? Yeah. We don't even need to just end the conversation already. But
where you live is important, man. It speaks about demographics, your income. All of those things have value on these platforms, man.
There's all those information, but to be honest with you, I've been there. They're not as comprehensive as you make them sound. They're scanty here, there. The major apps that I know will give you just maybe 5 options. So you don't even really put out so much. And when you do, it's either insufficient. And when it is sufficient, you find that the person who has put out the sufficient information is chatting with the wrong person. So the security aspect of it, does not really come to play except when people decide to meet. And then that's where catfishing comes in.
All right, we're speaking to Ernest Toho, who is a seasoned dating coach and a founder of Justified Connect Singles World. We're speaking about matchmaking online and whether, we give too much information away. And also we've got Online Data, who is also joining us on the line. That is Sophie. Sophie is joining us as well to chat a little bit about this. Sophie, tell us a little bit about your experience. How has it been and how long have you been online trying to find someone, finding the perfect love of your life?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. This is a very interesting conversation. So I'm recently separated, maybe not so recent. It's about 3 years now.
Okay, that's a long time.
I was married for a significant amount of time, and then things ended, and then I started asking friends of mine. I said, oh no, where do we meet women? Because obviously I'm from the LGBTQ community.
Okay.
I was like, where do people meet, right? Because gay guys have gay clubs. Everyone knows Marvel. Everyone knows different places. But where do women meet? Because women are more homely bodies, right? And all the ones that are out are a lot younger. So a friend of mine suggested the app. She had been overseas to study and used it for some reason. She's like, oh no, there's this app. It's called Her. And then I said, oh, well, how does it work? And she told me a bit about how it works. But I think the rest of it was left up to me and discovery. So downloaded the app. There's a free version. Obviously, there's a subscription version if you want to see more of your likes and things like that. And then that's how it started about 3 years ago now. And it is an invasive process, but maybe because I'm a journalist by profession and I ask really awkward questions and I answer really awkward questions, it didn't feel a particular way. But it gets to a point where it gets really exhausting, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, what is exhausting about it? Because I want to get on your case because you've been online. Have you met anyone yet, or are you just constantly speaking to different people online?
No, I think I've had a pretty decent experience compared to other people that I've chatted to on the app. I think all in all, I've met about 4 people, and each of them I was with them for a significant amount of time, like 6 months, 5, 6 months.
Oh, so you met them in reality?
I ended up meeting them in reality.
Okay.
And we actually had sort of like not even a relationship per se. It started out as hanging out as friends and getting to know each other more than friends. And I mean, the women that I met were really cool, smart, funny, did very interesting things. And I mean, we gelled with a lot of people, but sometimes you meet people that would like your profile and then don't have the ability to conversate. So for me, it was always important, besides putting the perfect pictures, but also just to say, like, it is important to kind of conversate because this is the only platform. It's like if you went to a job interview and you say, I'm so afraid of being interviewed. It's like you won't get the job because you're not standing the chance. So I realized, like, there were so many things. I think there's so many things I've had to learn about the space because I didn't traditionally understand or do it in that way because I met people in person. But I think the fatigue comes when you do it so often because we start things, they work out, you hang out with people for quite some time, and then things aren't quite what they seem to be, and then you kind of leave it, right?
Yeah.
And I find that with a lot of women, they don't keep the app on. Once they meet someone, they hang out with them and whatever, and it goes on. Some people have been like in relationships for about 2 years, then they come back because the relationship is ended. Then we come back on the app and say, okay, fine. Well, I met this person. And
okay. So what you're saying is, Sophie, is that it feels like a cycle because, and you're dating one person for a short period of time, then you go back on the app, finding another person, then you go back on the app to actually experience the same cycle as before. Let's take that to Ernest there, because that's happened in many of, people who actually participate with online dating, Ernest, where you actually are in a season whereby you're trying to find the right person, but you meet the right person, you think it's the right person, in inverted commas, and then you figure out that, no, man, we're not gelling the way that we should, and then you go back to the app for the same thing again. That happens often, doesn't it, Ernest?
Yeah, actually, that happens more often than not. Hence, my emphasis on very low success rate. Going back to why I say this dating apps are flawed. The success rate is very flawed. You find one, and then there's another one in Limpopo, and there's another one in Cape Town, and then you say, and meanwhile, there's millions, of people on this platform. So it happens all the time. And the major thing for me, which is why I'm going big on matchmaking service, which is curated rather than, this swipe like left and swipe right. Fundamentally, people don't even know what they're looking for. Fundamentally, single people don't even know what they're looking for. And so you find that the one person is looking for another thing, the other is looking for another thing. And where it gets draining is the system is not designed with proper filters to now narrow down the search so that you're now operate. For instance, if you're heading to Limpopo and we meet at a train station, if you're having a conversation with someone going to Limpopo, there's a high chance you will have a good conversation or something will come out of it. But if I'm going to Limpopo, this other person is going to Cape Town, then we shouldn't even start talking. But the platform doesn't filter enough to get the right set of people to be talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And then that always ends up in a mismatch. And also, people get matched, even start a relationship, only to find that, one person is looking settled and the other is looking for fun. They lie to each other 6 months down the line.
The lies, Latoya lies.
Yeah, hey, those lies.
We were speaking online dating, answering the question, are we giving too much of ourselves away to form connections on online dating platforms? Still joining us on the line is seasoned dating coach and founder of Justified's Connect Singles World, Ernest Toho, as well as Sophie, who's an online dater, telling us a little bit more about her personal experience. Ernest, let's go into the question at hand in today's conversations, right? The things that we should be telling people about ourselves. And I'm not just speaking about personal information, and that's, another conversation altogether, because the online dating world can be a little bit susceptible to criminal activity, online crime or cyber crime, etc. But that's not the notion, the direction that we're going in this one. Sometimes you form pseudo connections, so connections that aren't particularly real, because you're talking and you're talking and you're talking and you're sharing and you're sharing and you're sharing, and not just with one person, you're sharing with multiple people on online platforms. So how much is too much?
No, you actually clarified that question. You made in three parts. First, there's the information, the primary information. Your biodata. I'm tall, 6'2" or 5'9", and I drink, I smoke. But kids, those are primary stuff. You mentioned that. And then there's the secondary part, which is when you now make a connection, there's a match. And then you're getting to know this person and you're spilling out where you're from. Unfortunately, they're quite, as rudimentary as they are, they're required. And you go on and on and on. Then there's the third part, which is where the draining part comes in and gets really tiring. Then you have dating fatigue, which is you share with one person and then it doesn't work. You start all over again from scratch, the whole drill, and then it doesn't work. Then it's draining. I must mention, though, with respect to the question, there's something about these platforms. You find that profiles don't have real names; they have pseudonyms, and pseudonyms means you can just be Black Cat or
an avatar of sorts,
or Mad Dog, whatever, and you write whatever you write. Then comes the part where we have in the conversation. The major problem I have with not just the dating apps, but the people on it, which is why I have set up what I call the six steps dating life.
Okay. Stop right there. I do want to hear these 6 steps. It sounds like something very interesting, but I want to bring in Sophie in the meantime. Sophie, I want to speak about your recent experiences, because I know, as you said, you are still there. You're online dating right now. And in terms of the question on whether or not we are oversharing online, what are some of the contributing factors that you feel you haven't found your one as yet? And what would your answer be to the question on whether or not we're giving maybe too much of ourselves or maybe not enough of ourselves when trying to form connections on online dating platforms?
I think just to be very clear, one, knowing what you want is kind of important, I think, as Ernest said. And number two, I think knowing your ability to stop, because this thing is kind of like, it's almost like watching TikTok, right? It gets
a drug.
It gets all consuming, and then this is why there was a point I just switched off my notifications. I didn't want to receive any notifications. I would go on when I go on, and when I'm not on, I just don't see what's happening. So I do think we do, when you start chatting, at least I'd like to think that a lot of women like to chat, right? Some men do chat. I've had friends who dated people. I mean, sometimes you even meet people on social media. Like I met my ex-wife on Facebook, for example, and we just found out that we had the same interest and relations and whatever. But I think we do give a lot of ourselves and we don't really realize. But also you realize that you're giving a lot of yourself when you realize that someone won't answer certain questions, right? Or someone will kind of like try to be quite cushy about a certain answer, or someone will say, and I would say this before, I was like, oh no, but how are you calling me darling or sweetheart? Like this is like a first, like this is the first chat. This is like the first 2 hours of the chat. But I do think the more you spend time online, it obviously becomes an occupational hazard, because then your filter kind of gets broken, right? If you're getting people that actually talk in the same way. So you find that you've got, as I've been called, like dating verbal diarrhea, kind of. Because like I've told my friends, and they're just like, oh no, but you give too much. But I was just like, no, I've met people and I just consistently want to be myself. This morning I was watching a video with Trevor Noah and Esther Perel, the relationship psychologist, and she was talking about how people do dating.
Yeah, that's a good podcast, actually.
Yeah, it was literally, but I've seen this, someone has said this online before. It's like going on dates is literally like tapping in and tapping out, tapping in and tapping out. And it gets really exhausting. Instead of finding a very comfortable zone where you can kind of interact with someone, but also having like these non-tolerable things. Like I had to put an age gap limit because I was getting people who are like 10, 11, 13 years younger than I was.
Wow.
You know, and I was just like, I'm literally looking for someone over 35, and because I'm turning 40, like I'm a very mature person, and I've also been married, and I've also got responsibilities. So it's like sometimes you have to set those parameters and those boundaries, but sometimes you still get people actually who have interesting profiles that don't fit your age bracket. It becomes really annoying.
Yeah, that's the annoying part, isn't it?
Yeah, the chatting and the oversharing, I think we generally do. That's why I think we get some fatigue at some point in time and be like, can't we just meet people in the real world?
Yeah.
And I mean, on a daily basis, like guys would ask me out or want to talk to me, whatever, and I wouldn't be interested. And I would continuously pursue this thing or leave it alone for a couple of months and come back to it again. And
is it addictive?
You know what? I genuinely think like all kinds of social media interaction is addictive. And I do agree with Ernest, the designs are terrible. I mean, for one, I think I saw there were like a couple of weeks ago, I told a friend of mine, like eight dating apps without Tinder, right? When I was looking for queer women, right? And it was just like so many, but they are so flawed. And even the functionality, because we use so many.
And some of them are a little bit pricey, hey? Because they want you to,
And they give you a discount, and when you leave, they say, why are you leaving? And then they give you another promo discount. I paid. I don't want to lie. I paid but I was like, okay, no more than $100.
Yeah, please. Yeah, don't spend too much money.
Not more than $50. I'm just like, this thing is really not worth it. Because in the real world, actually, people are interested in me, but people that I'm not interested in.
Okay.
So I do think that's what happens with the oversharing. But also there's a lot of nuance. I really think like dating the heterosexual way and dating in the queer space are completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a difference in that, definitely.
But it boils down to the same principles that Ernest was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to come back to Ernest. I think we have to wrap up this conversation at some point. Ernest, I mean, is there a right way of doing this whole thing? Is there a cutoff point? I know I found my partner through a very interesting app called Hinge. And what I liked about that app was that you can actually say, you know, it kind of creates like a narrowing for you. And you never like someone you never can inbox someone who doesn't like you back. Or also it's like, if you guys don't get along at a particular point in times, I think it's got a deadline of like, okay, if you guys don't chat after so many points, kind of automatically gets you guys disconnected. But what's also interesting, the app was actually created to get you offline. So it encourages you. The app itself says, you are here to actually get off here. We're encouraging you not to actually come back on this particular app. And that was a motivation for me when I went on that app, finally, when I found that app, because it actually made me more intentional. Is there a right way of dating online? And are there better apps than some of the apps that we have right now that are more progressive?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Before I move on, you guys didn't give Sophie and I an opportunity to even say hello to each other. Hello, Sophie.
Hey, Ernest, how are you?
Anyway, back to the question. Something Sophie said, I'll come back to that. Sophie said at some point she had to, add extra filter to cut off certain age groups. because he was beginning to, mess with her head. Too many young guys, young ladies rather, talking to her. There is the right and wrong. But to clarify the first part of the question, there is oversharing. But remember, you're only oversharing becomes a problem when you're sharing with the wrong person. But if you're sharing with someone who's aligned with you, it cannot be called oversharing because you're moving in the right direction anyway, which is a required factor. That should be cleared out. Because like I always say, if you leave your house, you go in to go buy a baki, you get to the motor shop, talk to the salesman who's selling baki. The moment you start talking to the bike guy or the truck guy or the sedan guy, then everything you do there is a waste of time. So if you're giving out information, your 3 months bank statement, but you're giving to the guy who sells the power bank, or you set out to go buy a baki, then there's a big problem. So that's where the over information, sharing comes in. I hope that addresses the ultimate reason why we're here, the question itself. Do we overshare? So oversharing is not a problem when you're chatting with the right person. But when you're chatting with the wrong person, then that becomes another story altogether, which links up with the question you just asked me now, which is there a right way and a wrong way? Massively so. There's a right way, there's a wrong way. And I found that more people than not are dating wrongly, absolutely wrongly. The ultimate, like for you who found someone on Hinge, all the platforms are the same anyway. Congratulations,
Thanks, bro. She's amazing. She's I've been waiting for her all my life.
but that's because you were ready. More often than not, the women are ready, or the one party, in Sophie's case, the one party is ready, the other party is not ready. So what I've found is, like I always say, I'll use this on my side. We can also interpret it on the same side for Sophie. Only a man knows when he is ready for forever. And until he's ready, he's playing around. And when you check the millions of men out there, how many are actually ready to settle down? So people don't differentiate from casual dating to serious dating. And remember, there's also all other things going on in between. If you don't know that, in Johannesburg here, for instance, there are women whose business on those dating apps is just to corner men to go on date, and they'll corner you and specifically pressure you to go to Rosebank on some big restaurant. You spend 1,200. They never intended dating you anyway. All they want to do is take pictures and put on Instagram.
It's the Instagram life.
Yeah. Well, guys,
and they line up this man for the whole week, one every day, one every day.
Yeah. Ernest, we have to wrap it up, as well as you, Sophie. I think, Sophie, with your wrap up, give us just briefly, where to from here? Are you still going to continue on this online dating space? Do you want to try other forms or new forms of dating?
I mean, what I think I've decided now, which I haven't in 3 years, because I've been sitting in my own comfort zone, is to go out to a lot of queer events.
Okay.
I find that it's a lot more refreshing.
Meet real people.
Yeah, just because of my real interest, and there's some really interesting events and places. And I think that will probably be how I move forward. I'm definitely sure that just because I'm a chatty person, I get called a yapper all of the time. I will probably go back to the app again. but I keep it to one at a time, and
okay.
I can't with more than one app.
All right. Well, good luck with that. I hope that 2025 has a lot of physical interactions and perhaps even someone with a real connection that you get to meet this year. Thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good show.
And happy 40th birthday this year, because that's also a good one. I'm in the same journey as well as you, Sophie. So big ups to 40.
Sorry, guys, before you go, can I just
chip in never looked so good.
Go ahead,
Can
Ernest.
I just chip in this week?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it may not be the platform, but please forgive me. The last question you asked about the right way and the wrong way to date is very important. That if we can have more shows like this, I'm very willing to come on board and try and help as many. That's my life's work right now. I'm committed to the world, welfare of singles. I want to be remembered better when I pass away. Now, on the 15th of March, I'm launching my own matchmaking service platform.
Oh, cool.
Which is designed to correct all this mess going on with dating.
Love that.
And all that. And also there's my 6 steps Date Life Reset Masterclass. I would like to help as many people out there, your fans.
Yeah, give us your platforms online where people can find you.
Across all social media platforms, I'm Ernest Toho, Toho, Ernest Toho, across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Ernest Toho. And then, of course, The main website is ernesttoho.com, and then there's justifiedconnect.com.
Yeah.
All those platforms, I'll be helping. I'm into counseling and help. I've been helping thousands of people with counseling, but
Nice.
particularly let's help people to date right.